Fellow board members, ladies and gentlemen of the community, may we pause now for a meditative thought to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting is held in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. The news media has been notified, and a copy of the agenda has been made available to the public. This meeting is open to the public, and the public is welcome to attend in person. All persons wishing to attend the meeting by virtual means may do so via YouTube, Sumter School District Board meetings, and Sumter School District's Facebook page. Our vision: Sumter School District is committed to educating, empowering, and enriching the lives of all students to reach their full potential. Mission: Sumter School District is committed to providing a safe, nurturing, and high-quality educational environment that supports diversity and equips students for local and global success. The members of our board McLeod, Area 6, Sherry Smith, Area. I'm Ralph W. Caney, Sr., Area 3. Our superintendent is Dr. William T. Wright, and our administrative manager to the superintendent and the Board of Trustees is Ms. Shantae Scott. It's my pleasure now to call this meeting to order and to invite each of you who have come tonight to share with this board as we continue to craft a vision and support this administration and this team in advancing public education through the Sumter School District. We have the agenda. What is your pleasure as it regards the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to include both executive sessions at the time of the first executive session and to appoint the transportation ad hoc. Mr. Chair, I second
Ad hoc committee on transportation would be included in the agenda. If there is no discussion, we will proceed to the vote by electronic means. Okay. Okay. All right. The motion passes. The agenda is so amended, and we will proceed with that order. Thank you so very much. We're item 3 on the agenda, special presentation. Mr. Superintendent, is there anything from you on that subject, sir?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, and audience tonight, we are in the 3rd episode of recognizing students who in the fall of 2022 had perfect scores on their end of course tests. These students being recognized tonight are students who have had a perfect score on the U.S. History and Constitution test, which of course is not an easy one, but we've got some students to recognize tonight. So at this time, I'd like to have Dr. Jada McLeod come forward, and we will begin recognizing those students.
Good evening, and once again, we are pleased to be able to recognize these students for these achievements. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Richard Phillips, who is the coordinator of Science, Social Studies, PE, Health, Fine Arts, no, that's something else. But he's going to actually assist in calling the students forward so we can recognize their achievements.
Members of the board, good evening. What a good evening it is indeed when we can honor the exceptional work of our teachers and our students. First, we recognize Crestwood High School, Principal Dr. Leach or his designee, and the following teachers and their students. Mr. Colin Kramer, represented by Department Chair Michael Kramer, and student Caleb Makovich. Next, we have Mr. Michael Kramer and his students, beginning with Demiria Anderson. Next, we have Caden McWhorter. Next, from Crestwood, we have Cesar Perez.
Yeah, sure.
Can't hurt him.
That's right.
Next, we have Andy Fahn. Next, we have Eva Ramon. Next, from Crestwood, Jalea Taylor. Next, we have Emma Thode. Next, we have Raymark Velasco. And finally, from Crestwood, we have Octavius Young. Next, we recognize Lakewood High School Principal Dr. Maggie Wright, joined by the following teacher and his students. Mr. Mike Caraher and student Calvin Bennett. Next, from Lakewood, we have Adam Wirt. And finally, we recognize Sumter High School Principal Ms. Ana Maria Sandor, joined by the following teachers and their students. Miss Anna Bailey and student David Richardson. Next, we have Mr. Robert Butler and his student Jackson Watford. And finally, we have Miss Stephanie Johnston and student Emma Ort. And our final recognition tonight goes to Caden Reagan.
Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, if I may take this privilege, we certainly are proud of our students' accomplishments, and we want to continue to spotlight achievements of students. So occasionally we'll continue in this format to try to work with you all to make sure that we're spotlighting academic and athletics, just achievement in general. When students do well, we like to recognize them.
Mr. Chair, just as a point of privilege, I'd like to take a second just to make an announcement. Are we doing announcements first off? Are we doing announcements tonight? I don't see it on the agenda. And if not,
We don't have it on the
okay,
agenda for tonight.
I'd like to take just a second to
Point of personal
yes, sir.
privilege.
So I just want to take a second to recognize over the weekend the efforts of the district and the librarians across the district for putting on the inaugural Reading Rumble. It was a spectacular event. Special shout out to our librarian Rhonda Speed for putting it on and taking that workload. And then Principal Sandor of Sumter High for allowing them to utilize their space. Leroy as well for emceeing the thing. I can't remember, I always butcher his last name. But what was great about what I'm seeing in this district is we're putting a lot of emphasis on the very basics of education, that's reading and writing. And I think that we can only get better for doing so. And then lastly, I would like to give a special shout out to all the SROs that I see around the district. They aren't just keeping us safe and keeping things orderly. They are force multipliers. They certainly are not just that, but they're also mentors and leaders in their own right. So I just want to say thank you for their efforts and for things they do for this district as well. Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Zell, your point of personal privilege is acknowledged.
Mr. Chair, also another point of privilege. Over the weekend, we had the opportunity to attend the honors course program, choir program at Lakewood High School, featuring the high school choirs from around the district select members. It was an awesome event, and as the chair of the Community Fine Arts Committee, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank that entire group, the leadership for that group, and the students for a job done extremely well.
Okay. All right, thank you. I think if you look at item number 8, we do have board communications announcements. So any others, please wait until that time, all right? Thank you very much. All right. All right, we're down to item 4, election of board officer. 4.1, election of board parliamentarian. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to have the third and final reading of the establishment of the parliamentarian position.
I'll second it.
Would you?
Already been done.
Yeah.
I retract that statement, thank you.
Yeah. No, yeah. We're talking about the election of the
Gotcha.
parliamentarian.
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to establish, to elect the chairman of the board parliamentarian. I would like to nominate Miss Sherry White. She hasn't had her name updated yet, but former Sherry Smith, because I believe that she is a value added to this board as far as keeping structure and keeping things in order.
Mr. Chair, I'll second it.
Motion and seconded that Ms. Sherry Wright, who was recently married, former Sherry Smith, would be elected parliamentarian. No?
Mr. Chair, are you going to call for another nomination?
Okay, hold on just a minute. Nominations once? You got a nomination made? Okay,
I would like to nominate Ms. Tara Johnson.
all right. Ms. Tara Johnson has been nominated. Are there any further nominations? Nominations once, nominations twice, nominations closed on the names of Tara Johnson and Sherry Wright. And those who are in favor of Ms. Johnson, whose name comes last, will indicate with a show of hands. Those, those who are in favor of Ms. Wright will do the same by a show of hands. The number is, I know I didn't. Okay. With 7 people voting, there are 4 votes for Ms. Wright and 3 for Ms. Johnson. And Ms. Wright is declared the parliamentarian. We're down to public participation. We have 5 persons who've signed up for public participation. We have 15 minutes set aside for the public to address this board. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. I'd like to remind all of our speakers that your conversation is to be restricted to a subject and not to any individuals. Thank you very much. I will call on Dr. Patty Wilson.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and for having me, Vice Chair Lady, and members of this board. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to address you this afternoon. I'm very appreciative of your setting aside this time. However, I'm perplexed and I need just some clarification. What you did just now, selecting your parliamentarian, this is what I wanted to address the board about. According to a news article in the Sumter Daily item that was written March 11, 2023, and Mr. Bruce Mills was the author of that article. He quoted a definition of a parliamentarian, and he said it was an expert in the rules and of order and proper procedures for conducting meetings and deliberative assemblies. And also then he went on and gathered a quote which was given by you, Mr. Chairman, and he said, you said that the board, Sumter School District, has never had an officer in that role, and the position is common to governing boards. However, we've never had one. And you also said that it was not something that was concerning for this board. Now, I ask the question, why do we need one now? What is the need? Because according to this board, the last statement that I quote, and I'll say, that the Sumter School Board, which is this district's board, has never had an officer in that role. In short, parliamentarian procedures explains how to run a meeting, which is what the Sumter School Board thus far has been doing clearly and efficiently. You've been doing a good job. And so therefore I ask, why do you need a parliamentarian? The word specifically used was an officer, which brings me to this concern. According to our research, we do research, especially after the newspaper article stated, and I quote again, a parliamentarian is an expert, according to that information. And our research typically said a lawyer sits in on a board, said that position is a lawyer who sits in on a board meeting as an outside advisor and serves as an expert in policies and procedures. That's what that position does. I don't think that that position that you have elected today is an expert, nor is a lawyer, nor will that position serve in that capacity. And according to the research, we found that there are two articles of interest: board procedures versus membership, meetings and conventions, and meetings and myths. It states that, and I quote, because of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, which the 11th edition, the rules for board members smaller than 11 or 12 is quite relaxed and not nearly as formal as for larger membership meetings. It goes on to state that parliamentarians are usually placed for particularly centrist or complicated membership meetings.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. Dr. Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for this opportunity to speak. However, I will now yield my time back to Dr. Patty Wilson.
Thank you, and I'll continue. I want to continue by saying that meeting, that individual would have been perfect for us, our board, in 2017, when we had our really tumultuous situation going on. A parliamentarian would have been perfect when we had our multi-million-dollar deficit going on. However, it was tumultuous, and we would have been fairly suited to have a parliamentarian in that position, but we didn't. We had so much going on then that a person of that caliber would have suited us. We now, we have a good board going on, I believe, and we don't need the position that you just filled. However, you felt it was necessary, we shall see. If we don't need one during these times, we certainly, we didn't need one during that time, we certainly don't need one now. As for your informational purposes, we were not able to find any school district in our state of South Carolina with a parliamentarian, with a school district board with only 9 people or less. So then it brings me to my summary and last point of concern that I have, or that we have. The last point of concern is, according to the State Board of Education, Powers and Duties, codes, ABB issues that were issued out 1210 of 96 and revised 4 of 97. Code 59-5-60 states, a school board, and I quote, number 8, appoint such committees and such members of committees as may be required or as may be desired to carry out the orderly functions of the board. Again, what is needed is new board already singling this committee, that they are projecting internal conflict among yourselves, so as somehow feeling that our chairperson and or our vice chair cannot, or you're not incapable of maintaining your law and order, or you are invoking the parliamentary procedures during a board meeting based on your past and current to date public attendance. You don't need to pay a police officer, so therefore you are telecasting that this officer, so adult board is needed of a parliamentarian to parliamentary board of 9 elected members. Do you not need, you don't believe you can take care of yourself?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Ms. Felicia Lester?
Good afternoon, Chairman, Vice Chairwoman, Board of Trustees, Dr. Wright, Superintendent. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak. However, I will now yield my time to Dr. Sonia Murphy.
Good evening once again. Okay. According to, we have 4 points here. And let me just go ahead on and just say that we are the squad and we did this collectively. So now I'm going to take on and going on back through, and then we're going to yield some more time. According to research, we found 2 articles of interest: board procedures versus a membership meeting or convention and meeting myth. It states that, and I quote, "Because of Robert Rules of Order, newly revived 11th edition," yes, I'm repeating, "the rules for boards smaller than about 12 is quite relaxed and not nearly as formal for larger membership meetings." It goes on to state that parliamentarians are usually placed for particularly an expert in contentious or complicated membership meeting issues. And now, in 2017, our school board district ran up a multi-million-dollar deficit. During this time, there was a level 10+ degree of contention and complication, and no parliamentarian officer was elected. And our former board was contentious and complicated by every definition, and no parliamentarian was appointed. As a matter of facts and records, this is what prompted most of you to run for the seats you now sit in. We had parliamentarian procedures in place, and we have them in place now. If we didn't need one during these times, we certainly don't need one now. As for your informational purposes, we were not able to find any parliamentarian in school boards with 9 and less members. So this brings me to my summary and last question. As Dr. Wilson stated, there's a code for that, and you being board members should know it. So therefore, what our conflict is with the board at this time, we need to know what is the need. Is this new board already signaling this community that they are projecting internal conflict amongst themselves, so as to feel that our chairman and, okay. Who's the next? My time is up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Miss Sarah Williams?
Okay. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Murphy. To the chairman, vice chair, and to our school board. I'm going to finish this up. A committee solely for any board member who wants to be in a controlling position will not show that this board demonstrates and models, yes, I'm going over this, the 4 roles of an effective and transparent school board are vision, accountability, structure, and advocacy, champion of vision. Therefore, let me say, it's not incumbent of us to tell this board how and why to appoint committees, but it is necessary and important for us as community members who voted to put you in the seats which you now sit, and having attended every, and I do say every, board meeting thus far, we are challenging this board to address and find suitable solutions for the problems we're currently plagued with in Sumter School District, such as low test scores, student attendance, the lack of certified school teachers, the lack of qualified bus drivers or bus driver, period, the lack of school discipline that impedes the learning process for all students. This includes the students who came to learn as well as the ones who comes to hinder the process. Students coming to school smelling like marijuana. Students having sex inside school and in school parking lot. And the lack of communication between schools and districts. Oops, I guess placing a parliamentary on a committee just don't make the list of importance of necessity as an afterthought. According to the definition of a parliamentarian, that person will have to be an expert in the Roberts Rule as well as policy and procedures based on their resumes. Therefore, only 2 board members has those qualifications, and might I end this? I stand before you now questioning on how a working board member, and when I say working, I mean a board member who should be engaged in the contents of the actual board meeting in the present. This includes listening, perhaps questioning, perhaps giving input or clarification on issues, and also perform his or her parliamentary duties. Common sense does dictate some things.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, board. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Vice Chair, and to all the board members that are here, and to the one in their absence. We are behind you as long as it is for the children. However, at this point, with that, you're not for the children. So we'll be back again.
Mrs. Kilgore?
Mr. Chair, board members, Dr. Wright, good evening. On behalf of the NAACP Sumter branch and the Delane community regarding the possible sale of Delane Elementary School, the community would like to keep the school for a future community center, along with other governmental entities that will serve the community. The very land that Delane Elementary School currently sits on was donated by African American landowners in the community for the specific purpose for black children to have a school they could attend in their community during very harsh, segregated times when black and white children were not allowed to attend the same school. Amen. In 2017, 2018, the school board voted to close 2 rural schools, Maywood Middle and Delane Elementary Schools. However, the Delane School has continued to be a vital asset currently being used by the community along with other governmental agencies, i.e. voting precinct, sheriff deputies training, etc. Please keep in mind that it was African Americans who donated this land so black children could be educated and have a school they could proudly call their own. In your decision making on the future of Delane Elementary School, we're simply asking to give the Delane community first priority for a community center. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We'd like to thank all of our public participants for their contributions this evening. Okay. I understand that we have 2 electronic submissions.
Sir. Good evening, Chairman Canty, Vice Chairwoman Disney, members of the board, and Dr. Wright, Superintendent. We have 2 online submissions. The first is from Jayla Thomas. She is a student, and her concern is about the school bathrooms always closed and open bathrooms are unsanitary. The second submission is from Reginald Evans. The Planning Committee of Grace Achievement Center for Excellence Academies Incorporated recognizes the diversity of student interests, abilities, and aptitudes and accepts the challenge of providing meaningful educational experiences for all students regardless of differences. The primary goal is to provide an educational opportunity for each pupil to develop their fullest potential by providing a relevant multi-level program of study and activities, and to enable the students to develop social, political, and economic competence. Grace Academy's plan is started by opening a year-round school for all boys in the middle of July 2023. Grace Academy believes our charter school will help increase the quality of education in Sumter County. We will have a $1 billion economic impact annually to county for the next 10 years. We believe our school will help reduce crime in the county. We are requesting that Sumter School District allow Grace to purchase or lease the annex building located at 220 Hazel Street, Sumter, South Carolina, 29150. We would like to occupy the building by July 1st, 2023, and we sent a memo to the former chairperson in October of 2022. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much. Item 6 and 10. Item 6 and 10.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to enter an executive session for receipt of legal advice as it relates to property matters. And executive session for the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee.
You've heard the motion, and it's second that we enter into executive session for receipt of legal advice as it relates to property matters.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'll second
You can
it.
get a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. And for the monthly personnel report, appointment, compensation, promotion, demotion, discipline, termination, and/or release of an employee. You heard the motion in a second. Are you prepared to vote? Those who are in favor will indicate by voting electronically. I am out, and I vote yea. All right, the vote passes unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to excuse ourselves for a while for an executive session. Do want to thank you for being present. I want to invite you to remain until we conclude this segment of our work, because once completed, we shall return. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. On common consent, we're back in to open session, and we'll move to item 8. Item 8.1, are there any further announcements? 8.2, appointment of the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee. As chair, I beg the agreement of this board to appoint Jeff Zell as chair, Tara Johnson and Sherry Wright as members of the Ad Hoc Committee on Transportation. All right, so done. All right. Let us continue. Item 10, action required. .1, 10.2, the monthly personnel report.
Skip 9.1.
Oh, did I? Yes, sure. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, I did not
That's okay.
intentionally dismiss you.
That's okay. That's all right. We got it. Tonight's around the district. In observance of Music in Our Schools Month, our music educators and students are celebrating music education in their school communities, demonstrating this year's theme, which is Music is All of Us. The impact of music education on the lives of students during this particular school year, unlike any other, is evident in how the social and emotional benefits have carried them through the pandemic and brought joy to their communities. And so we offer this thank you to all of our music educators. Wilder Elementary School has been named a statewide award finalist for the Dick and Tucky Riley Award for School Improvement Council Excellence, which recognizes the significant contributions made to public education by local School Improvement Council members. The winner of the Riley Award will be selected from this year's finalists by an independent panel of reviewers and announced during a virtual awards ceremony in April. Way to go, Wilder Elementary School. Congratulations to Deborah Healy, who is assistant principal at Cherryvale Elementary School, for graduating from the South Carolina Association of School Administrators Assistant Principal Foundation's Gold Strand program. Ms. Healy is also a 2022 graduate of the Assistant Principal Foundation's Silver Strand. She is an outstanding leader who puts children first and exemplifies her school's mission of ensuring the highest quality education for all students, building character, and instilling a desire for lifelong learning. Also, congratulations go to Cameron Gettings, who is from Lakewood High School, and Angel Ramsey from Crestwood High School for being inducted into the CERA, C-E-R-R-A, National Teacher Cadet Honor Society. 4 welding students from Sumter Career and Technology Center participated in the welding competition at Midlands Technical College last month. Congratulations to Ian Weber for winning 4th place. Competing students were Dax Dickerson, Christian Myers, Ian Weber, and Cameron Mathis. Congratulations to Mr. Kelly Melton from Sumter High School for being recognized as a Hall of Fame member at the Palmetto Dramatics Association for over 20 years, 23 to be exact, of bringing students to the festival. Mr. Melton started going to the Palmetto Dramatics Association in 1997 with the show Candid. And last but not least, congratulations to Alice Drive Middle School for being selected to represent South Carolina in the 13th annual Samsung Solve for Tomorrow STEM competition. They will receive $12,000 in prize money for technology and school supplies. The school is focusing on a solution that will help sustain biodiversity and natural habitats in the city of Sumter. We wish them the best in the national competition. Mr. Chair, members of the Board of Trustees, that completes my Around the District for tonight.
Mr. Superintendent, thank you for that glowing report.
Yes, sir.
It appears that our district is alive and well. Exciting things going on, and Greater things than these shall we do.
Yes, sir.
Greater things
Amen.
than these. Okay. All right. 9.2, Office of Academics.
Right?
Did you?
Yes. The Office of Academics, Dr. J. McLeod, if you'll come forward, please. Have a recommendation at this time.
This is actually a joint venture between the Office of Student Support Services, as our pre-K program is a specialized program. So I'm going to ask Ms. Cheryl Krill-Ray to give you the information. This process, as with all of our processes, when we are looking at textbooks for adoption, we take it very seriously, our teachers take it very seriously, and we have a very strategic process in doing so to make sure that we get the input from our teachers to make these decisions.
All right. Good evening, Chairman Canty, Vice Chairwoman Disney, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Wright. As Dr. McLeod said, I am Cheryl Krill-Ray. I'm the Director of Early Childhood Programs here in the district for pre-K through second grade. And tonight I will present for your approval the 2023 pre-K curriculum adoption. So just to give you an overview, the South Carolina Department of Education approved 5 sets of pre-K CERDEP curriculum for districts to review and adopt. At this time, districts are expected to fund the budget needed for the curriculum adoption that will impact 22 teachers in the district. I met with Mrs. Spearman, Chief Financial Officer, to discuss the proposal and secure funding. Mrs. Spearman agreed to budget this curriculum adoption. These new adoptions impact several content areas to include literacy, math, science, social studies, social emotional connections, technology, assessment, and family engagement. Content teachers had an opportunity to review and make recommendations for the curriculum they felt would be the most impactful for their students. The following curriculum was approved through the South Carolina Department of Education, and they were Creative Curriculum. The vendor was Teaching Strategies. Frog Street, the vendor was Frog Street Press. Investigator Club, the vendor was Robert Leslie Publishing. Pre-K On My Way, the vendor was Scholastic Incorporated. And World of Wonders, the vendor was McGraw-Hill. Frog Street was recommended by the pre-kindergarten teachers in the district, and based on our research and collaboration, we recommend that Frog Street be accepted as the new curriculum for Sumter School District beginning August 3rd, 2023. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so very much for the presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the pre-K curriculum, Frog Street, for the school year 2023-24.
Is the motion supported? We'll go and do it anyway. We'll do it.
Mr. Chair, I second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
Just for clarification, how long will this last? What's the time frame for the adoption?
5 years.
Okay.
Any further questions? That's it? Okay. All right. You may vote your conviction, please.
Thank you very much.
Unanimous? It's unanimous. Thank you. All right. And now we're to Item 10, actions required. 10.2, monthly personnel report.
Mr. Chair, I move to make a motion to approve the personnel report as presented for March 13th, 2023.
Mr. Chair, I second it.
The motion is made and supported. Is there any discussion? If there is no discussion, you may vote your conviction. Okay? The motion is adopted, okay? Thank you so very much. Item 10.3 has already been taken care of, and we're at the item 11, the consent agenda, and of course, we're in agreement with the consent agenda. Is there any disagreement? There is none. If not, we're to item 12, adjournment. And I don't think we are in disagreement about adjournment. If we're in agreement and reach consensus, the chair will declare this meeting of the board on March 13th closed. Thank you. God bless you and have a good night.